All right, so you got these 6 steps. Last year, after I watched this video from this guy, he said he was going to put on something called Awesomeness Fest in Costa Rica, where 200 people who are interested in personal growth and spirituality and becoming entrepreneurs and whatnot. And I couldn't afford it. I had credit cards only. And I decided, I don't care, I'm going to spend them on credit cards and I'm going to this thing. I just have to go. It feels like the right place to be, the right people to be around. I'm tired of not listening to my intuition, despite financial or other circumstances. Of course, everyone told me don't do it, you can't afford it, and they couldn't have been more wrong, which I'm proud to say. They weren't just wrong, they were completely wrong. So I put it on my credit cards, I went to Costa Rica, I went to this conference. It was amazing. I met 200 people like me who want to do good things in the world, who are learning and finding ways to earn a living while doing good things in the world. When I told them I wanted to make a movie and be like Steven Spielberg, they said, go ahead, what's your movie about? I'm kind of used to, you'll never make a movie like Steven Spielberg. I'm kind of used to, that's a crazy idea. Are you manic? You want to make a movie like Steven Spielberg? You must be manic. Well, it was really nice to be around people. And the one thing we had in common, there was a poll one night there, the one thing we all had in common was we were used to having people around us saying, you can't do this, you'll never be that. Which is unfortunate and sad, but it's often the truth. Even from our loved ones who love us the most. And I think we all probably know that. So, I met a woman there who really inspired me. And she asked me to become part of a book where I get a little chapter. And the theme of the book is called Unbreakable Spirit. So people are sharing their stories about trying to overcome something in their lives. And the most important part of starting to work with her was just really realizing that I had something to share. That I had a story I wanted to tell people and try to inspire people. This woman completely blew me away, inspired me. I've read about people in books that are like inspiring and magnetic, and she was the first person I've ever met that really just lived up to that kind of hype, I guess you might say. So, I got home from Costa Rica. I had to write a chapter for this book, this little chapter. And now I had this passion that I hadn't had in years except for the screenplay and for some music that I was writing. And I had a purpose. So for the last year and a half, I've been working on the blog for a mental health blog, coming to the Nami meetings, trying to get involved the best way I can. Meeting new people this year. I've met amazing people all over the internet because I've been willing to share my story honestly and share my music and my film script, which is very important. 2 years ago, I would never let anyone listen to my music or see my script because I thought it was crap. And it might be crap. But the simple fact that I now let people listen to it means every time I get a musician to listen to my songs, he might call me back and say, I love this song, I'll help you work on it. Because I'm not a good musician, I like to write. So I'm looking for collaboration. I'm really big on collaboration now. And people using what they're good at to work together. So, I want to go back to the 6 steps of awesomeness and just talk a little bit about alternate ways to recover from a mental illness that don't often get talked about. I'm not saying that we shouldn't take medicine or should take medicine. I think that's up to every individual of what they want to do as far as medicines go. But there are other things that are working for other people as we speak. They don't get talked about a lot because they're not being funded by the FDA, basically, and there's not big trials. They don't run 5,000 people trials where they teach meditation and acupuncture and then report back. If 4,000 out of 5,000 people in that trial were successful, the whole country would hear about that and everyone would run to their doctor saying, I want to meditate and have acupuncture. Right now, we don't do that on a widespread scale.
Right, and in fact, I was working through the PubMed databases on acupuncture and yoga this past week. And certainly we know that both practices, as well as mindfulness meditation, which is incorporated in some manualized psychotherapies, do support recovery with mood disorders. All of the authors, 3, 4, 5, 6 different study review authors, started chiming in about a big piece of the problem is standardization of practice. It's hard to do meta-analysis and
Right.
trial till you have a standardized approach to something.
From their perspective, that makes total sense. It's also a bunch of horseshit.
Well, it's a scientific method. It's a scientific.
It's a scientific method, it's also a bunch of horseshit.
Yeah.
We could tell that to Einstein, Newton, and Tesla, and plenty of other people, and Edison, and they would have laughed in our faces. You can do both. You can be a scientist and a mystic at the same time. But that's not what I'm here to speak about.
How advanced or not advanced was Costa Rica as far as mental illness?
Nobody.
Nobody?
Nobody there was out as somebody with mental illness. I was. I told everybody because I don't care.
You're kidding?
No?
It's all about what's on your shirt. No, most people don't choose to. I don't have my blood sugar or my weight.
Well, it was really, well, there was a lot of camaraderie out there, and you got to know people, and people were generally really amazing. There was 200 people there, but I was there for a week, and we had dinner, lunch, and breakfast. I literally got to know 50, 60, 80 people, a little bit about their stories. So once you start talking to people like that, it's just like everyone tells the truth, as much as they can about themselves. So it was really easy to say, by the way, I'm here. And then I met that woman who was talking about overcoming obstacles, and I was like, ding, 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 ding. So, yeah, I was the only person there that, remind me, I have something to say about that, though, if you remember to remind me at the end. And I was just thinking, as far as standardized practices or models, yesterday I was thinking about how AA works. Some of you may or may not be familiar with like the 12 steps and all that. I'm personally not. When I had the problem with marijuana, I tried a couple meetings for NA and I didn't like it. But I was going back and I was looking at some of their first steps. They have to do with honesty, surrender, faith, and higher power. Now, I don't like to talk about religion and spirituality because a lot of people have different ideas and problems with it. And it's not really productive a lot of the times. I love talking about it, but just for now, I said to myself, well, let me replace surrender with mindfulness. Instead of surrendering to a higher power and saying we're powerless, I'm going to use the word mindfulness. Because surrender has connotations I don't even like myself, to be honest with you. I'm going to replace faith with joy. Faith is kind of can looked at as religious and whatnot. So I'm going to use joy instead of faith. The feeling of faith of knowing and even beyond reason, beyond what we see. So I felt joy was the right word for that. And I'm going to replace higher power, obviously that's something that people can get stuck on, with passion. So what are you passionate about? So I'm talking about mindfulness and being joyful in your passion. And that's what changed my life the last year and a half to 2 years now. It started in Costa Rica. So I go back to the six steps and I say, know what you want. What do I want? And I went over this in my head a lot of times and changed it. What do I want? Oh, I want to change the world. I want to be a mental health light to everybody and share my story. I want to work, recently I realized I want to work with dolphins. I've always loved dolphins. And I haven't been really focused on that. Well, I just filled out a form to volunteer in Florida at a dolphin center where they do take people swimming with disabilities and mental illness. So now there possibly could be a way for me to incorporate, which is the collaboration, my passions. And I'm talking passion, because I won't do something if I'm not really passionate about it. You know, a lot of people, if you have kids or family members, they'll say, I like this, I like that. My mom's here, she'll tell you how many things I like and love every week. And I heard from somebody on the chat room the other day, everyone is interested in something, but if you don't really want it, you're not going to do it. I'm interested in learning how to code and program computers. No, not really. I'd like to be able to do it, because it would help with my blog and stuff. But I'm not psyched about it. So knowing what you want is really the first most important step, whether it's... And how that ties in with passion and joy is, I urge everyone here, and loved ones if you're a family member, to ask the person, what are you passionate about? It could be music, it could be film.